Boy, why do you carry a gun? This is a video response to Steve at Safe Arms Review, as well as Going Deaf, who would also had a comment or was soliciting input on the topic. I commented under my other YouTube name, which is more geared towards my radio stuff that I do. So, I mean, to reiterate the obvious kind of joking points, but they're very legitimate joking points. That is, you know, you can't carry a cop, and when seconds count, cops are minutes away, and that's not going to change historically or in the future, and what have you. You know, you only have seconds to defend yourself. Now, my background in this, I mean, I've done security work and stuff like that, more in the entertainment arena, but just growing up. I grew up in an urban environment. I grew up in a very high crime area of Hartford, Connecticut. Moved out of Hartford. I live in one of the outer towns now. But between there and the time I spent in Detroit, Michigan, and of course New York City, crime is rampant and abundant. And if you don't take it upon yourself to protect you, no one else will. I mean, it's going to be either A, you know, protect and defend yourself, or B, be a victim or a constant victim. I mean, especially if I've seen crime where somebody knows that someone's been punked once and it's going to keep happening to them again and again and again. And life has changed. I've grown up now, and, you know, obviously as an adult, I've got a family. I'm a single father, and it is my responsibility to protect my family and my property. And, you know, it's going to take too long for 911 to do its dance. It's going to take too long for any of that process. So I do take it upon myself to not only defend my property if I need to, when my family are around, to defend my family, but at the same time, it's only one facet to defense and security, so to speak. I think that not only do you need to defend yourself on that front, but you need to prepare. You need to be able to be sustainable should a disaster hit of any kind. And unfortunately, should that happen, history has proven those that are prepared are usually also the biggest targets. Look what happened in New Orleans. Except in New Orleans, they took the guns away from the legal people, and then what happened? The criminal element was right back around following them and robbing everybody. So it's going to be interesting to see how, you know, that ruling has come about, and New Orleans is trying to get their guns back to their citizens, but it was rather insane that they disarmed them in the first place. But given, you know, how I've grown up, I'd also think there's another very important thing that kind of goes along with this, and that is it's too difficult in many ways. You always hear the BS rhetoric of, you know, oh, it's too easy to get a handgun. Well, especially illegally, yeah. I mean, I can go in my own neighborhood, come back 20 minutes later. You can give me the make and model for most popular guns, and I can get that for you. But it shouldn't have to be that way. I've seen people get turned down for arrests that were found to be unjust, and they were removed from their record, but just because they had actually been arrested, not charged, not convicted, they're denied getting a permit. Connecticut is a may issue state, not a shall issue state. Ironic that our state slogan is the Constitution State, I know. But we need to make it so that people that, yes, we want to weed out, I mean, we're called gun nuts and all that stuff, but you know what? We want to weed out people that have, you know, psychiatric issues, a violent criminal past. That's one thing. I kind of have a hard time with the legal aspect of everything and asking for permission for something that is a bona fide right. You know, those only few words. The Second Amendment are very clear. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It gets no simpler than that. There are some cases that I think that are very interesting, and they impede on many people's abilities to defend themselves. Of course, we've got, you know, the Heller case, we've got the McDonald case, landmark cases that surprisingly went our way. But it's going to be interesting because, don't forget, 4 justices actually thought the other way, which is pretty much clear-cut. And then last but not least, if you're an NRA member, which I am, you see it in the articles, you see it in, if you ever listen to like NRAnews.com or something like that, you'll see cases where people defend themselves every day. Unfortunately, I think that there needs to be a better way of publicizing and tracking that, because it is absolutely insane that people have this extreme fear of guns, but they don't look at how people can that legitimately defend themselves and protect themselves every single day in this country. If you have to pull out your gun, to defend yourself, and the person takes off, it's not tracked. So I've also recently started teaching my son. He's a preteen right now, so he's also learning by example. And I am proud, as much as his mother doesn't like the idea, like many mothers don't. I take him out to a range, oftentimes it's a state range, and he starts learning, and he's learning at a young age and getting experience. Like Steve at Safe Firearms Review, I'm a big fan of the Magpul Dynamics, and I hope to take that course someday. I've watched the video, and I do some of the exercises in their DVDs, but at the same time, that's only a partial. You can only learn so much from a DVD. You really got to go take a course. For me, looking at the DVD was, okay, now that I really like the way the material is presented, that's where I want to take a course someday. I think that's also a responsibility as well. And last, speaking of examples, in Connecticut, which is very much a liberal state, obviously it's New England, I'm surprised that we have some of the guns rights that we do now. However, we had a very famous case a couple of years ago. It went international. The Pettit case. Dr. Pettit's coming home, finds his house on fire. His wife and 2 daughters, tragically, were actually inside. Later on, they found out that it was a home invasion, that they were forced to even go as far as to take money out of their bank account, come back to the house, sexually assaulted, and then murdered. 2 daughters. One of them wasn't even a teenager yet, if I remember correctly. It's been a couple of years, but... And it was interesting to see the perspective on his case about how it seems like his views as a doctor might have changed as things have gone on. When I used to work around hospitals all the time, I never really met a doctor that was pro-death penalty. I never met a doctor that was, pro-Second Amendment per se. I know there are out there, don't get me wrong, I'm just saying I've never met one, especially here in Connecticut. And it's really amazing watching press conferences now, at the trials and everything like that, because it's 2 guys that are on trial for this. It's really interesting to sit back and look and see that he is pro-death penalty now, which is interesting. I wonder what his stance on, our right to keep and bear arms. That would be rather interesting. So that is why I carry a gun, and that is my philosophy as far as how I feel about self-defense. Stephen at Safe Firearms Review and Going Deaf, good videos, good to keep the discussion going, and hopefully maybe this is something that we can revisit every now and then, maybe every year or so, as times change, and readdress these issues going forward. This is CT Kicks, also Jonathan, my new first video up here on YouTube since I've switched over to a new account for my non-radio stuff, so I'll say see you later. God bless the Republic. And God bless this country. Goodbye.